stream on. I wasn't. Sure. Do what? Yeah, it's always got a bit of a migraine. Making sure we went live. So, that's the first and hardest part of my job for while I'm up here. I was letting Adrian know that if you look. Okay, so gotcha. On one of your street closures last week, you voted on the same one twice. So one never got voted on. So in the minutes, it just reflects that no action was taken, and I just went ahead and put that as the first thing under the street, so that you're aware.
Mayor.
Good to go?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's 3:30 p.m., Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. Deputy Mayor Jacob Palmaso calling to order the regular session of the Logansport Board of Public Works and Safety. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Adrian Grant,
Here.
Jacob Palmaso,
Here.
Chris Martin. Absent.
All right. Now on to the approval of minutes for the February 21st, 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for February 21.
I will second. Any further discussion? Call for question.
Adrian Grant,
Yes.
Jacob Palmaso,
Yes. All right. Now on the approval of claims for $333,763.68. This includes claims of $58,107.72, police pension payroll of $41,363.87, fire pension payroll of $72,792.09, fire pension death claim of $12,000, U.S. bank claim of $149,500. Go ahead and make a motion to accept the claims.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Jacob Palmaso,
Yes.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
All right, public comment. Anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and say anything, please state your name and address. And seeing none, we're on to new business. We have contracts and agreements. First up is Reed Roofing Company for restroom work. Jan, is this you? I did the same thing.
This is a contract with Reed Roofing to redo the roof at Fairview Park restroom. This is the first of several activities we're gonna do to rehab that whole restroom, so this
Awesome.
do this, well, the others, okay.
Yeah.
So, we don't have a lot of people in the park right now either, so.
Perfect.
Once baseball season starts, that's crazy.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the agreement with Reed Roofing for the restroom at Fairview Park.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Adrian Grant,
Yes.
Jacob Palmaso.
Yes. Thanks, Jan. All right, next two are from Aaron. Jamie, yeah, you can go ahead. I knew a little bit, but since you're here, let's do it.
Aaron has two And she has the funding in the historic preservation line item. And then, you want to look together?
No, we'll go ahead and do them separate. So yeah, this is for the staff work for the Historic Preservation Commission by the Indiana Landmarks. So I'll make a motion to accept the assistance agreement with Indiana Landmarks for the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Jacob Thomason,
Yes.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
All right, next up, we have Arcor Architects and Engineers for design work.
Yeah, it's for the urban park architect funds to pay for the state design release, and it'll come from the our contractual services.
Yeah, so the only,
What, is it 154.15, I think?
yep, that was the additional, just so that we could pay the state design fees through them. It's made it a little easier, so it's a straight pass-through. So I will go ahead and make a motion to accept the amended agreement with Arcor Architects and Engineers to pay the state design fees.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
Jacob Thomason.
Yes. Thanks, Tammy. All right, next up, we have the building commissioner, unsafe building for 705 North Street. Is anyone here to represent 705 North Street? Okay, seeing none, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, this was actually a stone wall that had fallen down into the public way and sidewalk. It has now been resolved and cleaned up.
Cleaned up, good.
Oh, good.
We probably sign off on that as a no for the fine.
Okay.
All right. So then, we just need to make a motion to clear this one then, is that? All right. So we'll, I'll go ahead and make a motion to clear 705 North Street for the unsafe property.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Be another motion for the fine.
That have we, was there a fine issued, or would that be?
To be, we wouldn't have it today. That's what we.
That's not, that's what the motion is for, is to clear it, so we don't have that. So, all right. Any further discussion? Call for a question.
Jacob Thomason,
Yes.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Glad to have that one taken care of. All right. Now on the street department, we have street closure request. Now,
Yeah, this one was, we had about 4 or 5 days from everything paid at the top,
okay.
and it got skipped.
Gotcha. All right. So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the street closure request for 11th Street from High Street to North Street. And this is, what, from February 23rd to March 8th? What it is?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call for question.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
Jacob Thomason.
Yes. All right. Next up, we have application for curb street cut. How do you want to do these?
Yeah, this is a frontier for provide a service job, it's in the right way, and you're going.
Okay, this is for 1721 Buchanan Street. Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the curb street cut request for 1721 Buchanan Street.
Second.
Call for question.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
Jacob Thomason.
Yes. How about these NIPSCO ones? Are they? That's what I like to hear. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the curb street cut request for NIPSCO at 610 East Street, 231 Park Avenue, 1841 Erie Avenue, 1031 North 3rd Street, 616 East Broadway, 2518 George Street, 2203 North Street, 1213 Spear Street, 915 Claude Street, 719 Plum Street, 15 East Colfax Street, 530 West Linden Avenue, and 1128 Cummings Street.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Call for question.
Jacob Thomason.
Yes.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
All right, and then we have, add this one? Okay.
This street between East London and East Miami.
Okay, I'll make a motion to add the application for curb street cut to the agenda for Fifth Street between East London and East Miami Avenue.
I'll second.
Okay, call for question.
Adrian Grant,
Yes.
Jacob Palmison,
Yes. Okay. And then I will go ahead and make a motion to accept the curb street cut request from Dyken Excavating for Fifth Street between East London and East Miami Avenue.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Call for question.
Jacob Palmison,
Yes.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
And John, I got a copy.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tony. All right, next up, we got code enforcement. Code enforcement's weekly report. Good afternoon. What do we got?
So last week, we sent out 23 new letters for trash violation. We've had 18 properties have been cleared. We have 56 right now that are in pending state, which is various stages from anywhere from 7 to 10 days to clean up. So we kind of changed that a little bit. So right now, we're dealing with 56 properties, so. We didn't send any trash container citations, or we didn't have any citations sent last week, sorry. Did have 4 container warnings. Sorry. We had 7 cars I tagged last week. I had 1 cleared. We did have 1 that we had to tow. I've had 2 more properties brought in and 2 more cleanups that were ordered.
All right. Make a motion to approve the weekly report for code enforcement.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Adrian Grant,
Yes.
Jacob Palmison,
Yes. All right. Next up, we have requests for property cleanup or multiple violation properties. First up, we have 1320 North Street. Is anyone here to represent 1320 North Street? Seeing none. Randy, go ahead.
This one actually started on January 31st. This is a multiple violation property. They have the same issue. They let trash build up and then they burn. And we get the call after they burn. That's how they clean these properties up. On June 6th of last year, we were called for the same issue. They burned again right before they had to come to Border Works. They had a notice to appear. We're here now this is the second time in 12 months. We want to place a fine on the property. And the actual, if they were caught burning and it was turned in, it would be, I believe it's a $500 fine. Where this is a lower fine, but we weren't actually called while they were burning to clean it up.
Gotcha.
I mean, I can see the aftermath of it, but we don't see the actual.
In process.
Yeah.
I understand.
So at this time, we don't have to clean it up. I want to see a fine placed on
We
it.
have to deal with the multiple violation.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we have a request for a property cleanup in this? We have to vote on that one first.
You could vote on that first and
Okay.
put a fine on.
So let's first vote on the property cleanup for 1320 North Street. So I'll make a motion to vote on the property cleanup for 1320 North Street.
Second.
Okay. Call for question.
Jacob Palmison,
No.
Adrian Grant.
No.
Okay. Now I will make a motion to place a $250 fine on 1320 North Street for multiple violations.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? They'll have an opportunity to appeal this. I hope that they do. Would love to talk to them about it. So, call for question.
Adrian Grant,
Yes.
Jacob Palmison,
Yes. All right. Next up, we have a request for property cleanup for multiple violation properties appeal for 600 Culbertson Street. Is there anyone here to represent 600 Culbertson Street? Please come forward and state your name and address for us.
My name is Mary Bowler Walls, and 600 Culbertson Street.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. All right, Randy.
We had brought this one in on 131. This is a multiple violation property. We've had several issues with it. This is a Gupta property out of Florida. We had a lot of trash and debris outside. We had fences falling down. We've had multiple issues with this property on various departments. As of right now, she did get the property cleaned up outside on the sidewalk. The fenced in, the wire fenced in area is cleaned up. It is cleaned all around the privacy fence. Inside of it still probably needs some work, but I can't really address that part because it's inside the privacy fence. But the outside of it has been picked up to where you could walk down the sidewalk if you choose to.
Yeah.
But we did place a $1,000
Nice.
fine on this because of the fact that we're back again with.
And I also paid a $100 fine the other day.
That was your notice to appear fine.
Yeah.
That one is
Okay.
not appealable. That is a standard $100 fine if you go past the 7 days.
I'm in the process of trying to get things done. I just got out of a wheelchair after being in it for 8 years.
Okay, that's great.
And I'm working desperately to get things done. I want to know where I can put a dumpster if I order one, because
You'd
we
have
were
to-
told we cannot get one for that street. What
You
you
can
told me
you would
yesterday.
have to get a permit from the street department to do that. You'd have
And
to,
the orange shirt back there.
yep.
Right there.
Street department.
That's the guy.
They have to be contracted and stuff, and they'll have to go through all the process with the street department to do that, to place it on the street.
Okay, well, I just didn't have a clue where in the world to put it.
So how long have you lived at this property?
I've lived there 8 years.
8 years.
In August, I'll finish paying off my property and I'll get because I've been buying it since July 2016.
Okay.
And it'll be paid off in August. So, hopefully I can get everything put in my name. I didn't know until he made me aware that I can go down, and then I talked to Goop about it. He's never told me anything about,
She's
I
doing
can
a
put it in
rent
my
to own
name.
contract,
Yeah.
and there's nothing filed at the title company with, most of these people are doing contracts now.
I've
They
got a
will file
contract,
those.
but I didn't file it.
But if
because I
it's not
didn't know.
filed, then we have to go by what is legally on there that says that Gupta is responsible.
So based
Corporation.
based on your contract, are you responsible for the fines and property upkeep and things like that?
Yes, and house taxes and everything else, yes.
Okay. So how did this happen? This picture that we're looking at, I mean, that caused a lot of these issues. I know we had some other ones, but it seems like a lot of work to create that mess on the sidewalk.
Because, well, my husband does contracting, and he tends to bring, there's really not an excuse, but he tends to bring home his work and leave it there. I mean, what's left over, and it ends up being here and there and everywhere. Well, he thinks if he builds something with it or does something with it, it's okay, and it's not, and I've been telling him that for as long as I've been with him. But he, I was after him to get it cleaned up. And, believe me, he says, well, what's it anybody's business? And, but
But he's aware of the
maybe
fine
hearing it
now,
from
but-
somebody else, it actually put I don't know, maybe kicked him in the butt or whatever, because he's been working on getting stuff done.
You can record that contract that you have, and you should take it down to the courthouse and the recorder's office, and they'll charge you $5 or $10 to record it.
It's 25 or something like that is what I was told the other day. I did,
Yeah.
I've been checking on it, and I talked to Gupta, for like an hour and a half on the phone the other day.
That's for your own protection.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well,
That's why a
I
lot
didn't
of
know,
them are
I
doing that
honestly
now.
didn't know I could until he said something about, hey, check it out. I said, well, wonder why he hasn't told me anything about that. I didn't know. I didn't have any clue. I thought that you rented to own, and when it was paid off, that's when it becomes, in your name. I just know that I have to pay the house taxes even though they're in Wiper Corporation's name every year because it's in my contract that I pay it. I even paid for 2016, and I didn't live there until the end of August of 2016. I paid for the whole entire year of that year and didn't even know that I
Well,
didn't have to.
And all of that is important, and I would encourage you to do those things to protect yourself, but it is a little beside the point.
Yes.
It's because, Mr. Gupta didn't make this mess, whether you or your husband or whatever it is. And I guess the question is, it seems like we've had issues with this property for a little while now, and you've lived there all of the time that we're really talking about having the issues. And so how do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? Because it can't keep happening. We can't keep sending Randy over there to waste his time on the same old people that should know better, And so,
Around now. I'm getting around now
But
and
they-
I can do
it-
something about
The
it.
mess was there even when you weren't getting around, and it's there now, and you said you've been getting around. Who says in 3 months we're gonna be right back here? This is on a corner, highly visible area. This is a block away from the school.
yeah, half block away from the
Block
best
away
parks.
from a park. You know, there's other issues going on there. I can't keep going back for the phone calls for this stuff.
Yeah.
There are 56 other properties that we're dealing with right now that are in this same sort of state and process. We can't waste all of our time on one property going back in 6 months, 5 months, or going back in 2 weeks. There's got to be a definite, this is what we're going to do and this is where we're going to move forward with it.
Stop acquiring.
Right.
That's, I will
And
keep it up
the
now.
placing of these fines and stuff, I mean, at this point, I feel like the fine should stay. Because if I'm having to do the work and go back and deal with it to make sure it gets cleaned up for the neighbors and everything else, then there's gotta be consequences for it. Because at this point, it's like it's a slap on the wrist, we walk away. No. I'm a firm believer at this point, there needs to be some consequences for this kind of stuff. Because if we can allow it to build up to get that way, we can go out and clean it up too. And especially if we can clean it up in a matter of a week after it's been ordered.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing is,
Well, it won't get in that condition anymore, or the husband will be gone. That was my.
well, I mean, if it happened, if it's one of those things where if it happens again, you're right back in this situation, then there are more fines placed on the property, and it doesn't make it any easier for you to take on the property at the end of your contract, I'm sure. So I think that, you know, there are some considerations there. And you can hear the frustration in somebody who is the one that gets the calls. You don't get the calls necessarily, you get the calls from him, but you don't get the calls from the community because you're blocking a sidewalk a half block away from the school in a park. You know, I mean, there's been a lot of concern about this property from the neighborhood and from the community for a long time. And it's not just these trash issues. I think there are some other issues with other departments that we've had that, you know, give us pause, or at least give me pause in, you know, accepting this appeal and letting things go back to the status quo on just a promise. You know, I think that's something that really concerns me.
The thing is, like the fence outside, we talked about that, and this is another
I'm
area.
working on it.
That fence was never permitted to go up. Not in that state, not that material, not that stuff, it was never done.
It wasn't permitted for that height, but part of that.
Or this,
Which one?
the fence at the property as well.
What are you talking, the wire fence?
Yeah, the wire.
That's right on the corner, you know, we have issues like that where we're still doing stuff even though you know it's not permitted. This is the same problem, you know this stuff's not allowed, you're still doing it. This stuff's gotta stop at some point.
I'm working on having it taken down and stuff, so he took the wood part and stuff down. We're working on it.
So what other outstanding things do they have with your department, or I didn't know if there's,
We've got multiple issues with other departments too. We got animal control issues that we need to get addressed.
I got that taken care of.
She did get a kennel license for that, but we still have issues with those dogs being very aggressive and not being controlled. We've got neighbors that are very scared to take their kids outside, even though citations have been issued. I don't know if you paid your citation or not. I know you
I am
have your
today.
kennel license. We've got that issue. We've got complaints about people living in the garage. That's a concern, and we're concerned about kids being in there too.
There's no kids.
Okay, that was just, it was brought up. But these are the phone calls that we're getting. And this is one
My
property.
youngest kid's 36 years old.
But there's the concerns, is the animal control issue. Brian can contest, there's been some calls, there's been issues. I mean, I believe there's some people here that like to speak about that as well.
I got rid of two of the dogs.
But still, we had 10 dogs, right?
I got
at one
rid of
point.
two,
But you
yes.
had 10 dogs at one point in this house.
2 were puppies.
I was told 5 when we were there the last time.
Well, that's
but-
because we got rid of some more.
But anyway, there's issues with this. It's not just a single, it needs cleaned up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, inside the fenced-in area, it's still a mess.
Well, that's what I noticed in the
We got
pictures.
rid of a
Well,
lot of that
Address so
too.
much.
We got rid of a lot of that stuff too. He took down some stuff that he had built over his horseshoe pit or whatever that I told him I didn't want there to begin with. Anyway, he took all that stuff down. We took 2 trucks of metal that was laying around to the junkyard. We've gotten rid of a lot of the stuff that was in there. We still got a lot more to go,
I mean, there's a vehicle parked back here inside that fence.
and it's getting towed off too,
I
as
mean,
soon
and
as I
then we
can
got
get it out of
vehicles that are
there.
on the street that don't get moved. I mean, there's
They
not
run.
just one issue. There's several. I mean, and this hasn't been something that just happened last week. This has been building up, going on. Now, you know, we get the calls, and like I said, I've got a very, everybody thinks it's because my name has enforcement in it, code enforcement. I'm the one that has to deal with it. Well, each department has different layers. If it comes to me, I gotta make sure it goes to the right one. You know, complaints about people living in the garage. You know, are there people living in that garage?
No, my husband's out there a lot because that's what he does, but he keeps the wood burner going because he's always out there. I'm sure sometimes he'd rather live out there than in the house with me, but
And I mean, see, we've got all these things, and it's like, it's a combination of everything on top.
This picture that you gave us, Randy,
It's the most recent one, yeah.
yeah, is that, you see this part over here, though, that inside, that wooden fence there is the 600 property?
Yep, that's the same property.
Because, I mean, you can tell there's stuff
piles.
piled all the way up against
Yeah.
the fence. I mean, you're gonna run out of room again, and
well, it's all getting taken away. That's why I said I want to get a dumpster. I want to get a dumpster and get rid of a lot of that stuff.
Our biggest issue is we need to fix these problems, and we need to stop having to come back.
well, that's exactly the case. And
Now that you've gotten this far with it, it won't.
I don't want to have to go back.
But so there's issues with the fence. So things need to be done with the fence. I mean, how quickly can those things be done?
Like, how quickly can you remove that fence? Is what he's asking right now.
To get yourself in compliance with the rest of our departments that have issues with you, that it seems like the animal control thing is a problem, but that to some extent has been addressed now. The building stuff and planning and zoning, I'm wondering, is that purely the fence? That's it? So what needs to be done there?
That fence needs to come down 4 foot height or removed.
It can't be that same material, can it?
Can he bend it over to 4 feet tall? I mean, I'm asking.
Say no,
I would-
no. We gotta have it looking like a proper fence.
Mhm.
And not bring it, you know.
And the fence posts and stuff, that's not the
Yeah.
proper materials to
Okay.
use in the city
Well,
limits.
Something like the rest of this fence, the wood fence, something like that. Would be like a proper fence.
Well, the reason I got that because I have a Great Dane that
Like
he
in
can
this
step
section is
over
what
it like
we're
it's
talking
nothing.
about. Like on this section is what he's talking about.
That's what I'll.
That's the 4 foot, that's what he's, that's
Yeah, that's
as
4
much
foot.
as he will
I,
allow and approve.
Okay. I thought that if you could see the house in the
Yeah.
front.
And even when you came in and got the permit, I think we all explained,
And the thing is.
multiple
is
times.
Those posts,
tried to get the permit.
those don't go down.
Those what?
Those posts don't go down in the ground deep enough to even be supporting any kind of.
Right.
anything being leaned up against it.
And it-
I'll
Yeah.
probably plow that over if you really wanted to.
Mhm.
You know, that's the other issue. When
No,
you
he
already
just
know
climbs
you've
it.
got an animal control problem there, I think it's something that needs to be looked at.
Well,
Because
we've
I
been
can
putting
tell
them
you,
in the
I can say
backyard.
right now from the firsthand experience, when I posted that note for the cleanup on that property, I had to have Brian standing behind me with the snare because her 2 dogs were going to rip into my face while I was trying to put the post up. If your animals are that aggressive and stuff, they need to be back in a secure area, not out front, and not where your neighbors have to worry about these dogs getting out and getting to them. I mean,
Right.
I know you said that somebody was letting them out. Okay,
And
we
I got
understand that.
taken care of too.
But still, they need to be secured.
Are there any, so there's been a citation issued on that, right, Brian?
Yes.
Is that, are there any outstanding issues with animal control on that property other than paying that citation?
My concern is that front fence. I mean, really, during the video, subject to back here right now, he had to come out with a ball bat to defend himself. And as he was doing that, another dog was on the 6 foot, I think it was 604. So they lived at 604 on the privacy fence that's leaned up against this chain link fence. This other dog was up on top of it, like roosted up, just waiting to come over. So I mean, it's still going to be a safety issue, no matter if you go 4 foot or.
Well, we've been letting them only in the backyard.
I mean, it's still a safety problem.
It's still gotta be a security, because you gotta worry about, I worry about, we don't, our school buses won't even pick up kids on this corner.
Yeah. Do you guys want to come up and speak?
And
that
you've
okay?
got parks and stuff like that, and kids are gonna be out walking around. We gotta make sure this is secure
Yeah.
and safe,
Oh, I agree.
period.
You have a lot of criminal and civil liability with those dogs, especially with the issues that have come up here. I mean, you really need to take a look at it. There's only so much we can do as far as taking the dogs before they do something, but you should pay attention to them. Very good. Like, it's not just civil liability. You could have criminal liability if these dogs attack somebody, and just so you're aware. So please, state your name and address for us. And
Stacy Kistler, Josh Kistler, 604 Culbertson. We have been next door to them the whole time that they've lived there. We've been there almost 12 years, 12 years in June. September, I think it was September 29th or 22nd of 22, they built that fence. Not long after that, big dogs were out there, big dogs that could jump. Every time they hit that fence, it just rattle, and my children were terrified. Now we're running into, let's see, in August, they were up on the roof, like big dogs up on the roof. They lunge at the fence. If you even walk by the house, it's dangerous. Every time we come home, if the dogs are outside, my children are absolutely terrified for good reason. The largest dog can jump that 6 foot fence. We have seen it. I have it on video. My husband has been basically like ambushed by the little one. I call it the little one, but she's still pretty big.
It's the one that was in the video.
Yeah, she has ambushed now, let's see. It started with our daughter. It was April 13th. She was walking our dog, who was on a leash, taking him for a walk. As soon as she got close to the house, their dogs were out. One jumped the fence, attacked my dog and her. Well, I mean, they didn't bite, it didn't bite her, but it could have. And that's my point. It could have. This is an issue with every single time a dog is out. My children are terrified to walk outside. Kids in the neighborhood, they no longer walk by our area. They go all the way around in order to catch the bus. That's ridiculous. With you, one morning, I wasn't out there that morning. Our neighbor, she was dropping off her, well, I don't know if she lives there, it's her aunt, but she was dropping off her kids in the morning before she went to work. The baby is a baby, almost newborn. Cold out, freezing cold. What time in the morning was that? It was like 6:30.
Yeah, something like that.
Their dogs were out. One got completely out. My husband had it at bay with a baseball bat. The neighbor didn't know. We're all used to it, the whole block. We know when them dogs are out, we got to get to our door quickly. So she was taking her kids into her aunt's house and fell, dropped the baby, with the baby, because she was scared. She didn't realize that he, had it, at least calmed to where it wasn't going to dart at her. So this has been an ongoing problem. I mean, I have multiple videos. I didn't get a chance to get them sent early enough for them to be shown here. I thought I did. They didn't send. Too big a file. But, I mean, since, what was it? The 20th was the last time that any dog darted out. And it was the same dog that keeps getting out. She had issues keeping it at bay. I heard her screaming. I was scared for her because I thought, well, it knocked her over. And they just ran, jumped at the fence, right at me when I was cleaning out the car. It didn't go over, but I did stop. She did get it to come back in, but it was after some time. So it's just been an ongoing issue. And we're talking, this is not just the past 6 months. This has been the past year, and it's been a revolving door of dogs. We're talking pit bulls, chihuahuas, you name it, they've had them. These big 2 dogs are the only dogs we've really had like issues with. We have a pit bull ourselves, so it's not like a breed thing. But we've had a pit bull for 9 years. Guess how many times he's been out? None. But constantly their dogs are out. I just don't understand. They have a large backyard, as large as ours. Why couldn't the dogs have been in a privacy fence this whole time? We have constantly said something. We have constantly screamed. I mean, I kind of screamed at her one day, which I felt bad about, but that was the day my daughter and my dog were walking. But I screamed over there, like, get your dogs. Nobody was getting the dogs. It's just, well, tell them to stop. You can't tell a dog with, like, no training to just stop what it's doing. It's not going to work. But we haven't seen really the dogs out front. I will say that.
Because we did express the day I was there, I told her, I said, you need to keep these dogs contained when you're not home. You're responsible for it.
And I have been.
And I will give her some credit that we haven't seen them out, we haven't had any issues. But we still have, if you're gonna be owner of this property, you need to take responsibility for it. And you got neighbors that are upset, you've got an entire neighborhood that's upset. We're getting blasted with phone calls and everything else. We've gotta take responsibility for our property, period. And this is not taking responsibility.
If you want to live like this, you're buying a house in the wrong area. I mean, if you want to put stuff all over your property, you want to have a bunch of dogs, then you probably need a place out in the country, not one that's a block away from the park and the school and right next door to people that have kids. I mean, do you hear what people are saying here? I mean, there's a lot of concern in the area. Are you concerned about that?
Yes.
You are. So what steps have you taken, and what steps are you going to continue to take? I mean, is the back fence secure enough?
Yes, I've been keeping them only in the backyard.
Okay.
I've been out there with them instead of just letting them out, I let them out, do their job and make them come back in. I've been working on getting the property and everything cleaned up, outside, inside, everywhere. I'm working on it.
I get that we're working on it now, but what has happened to get it to this point?
Yeah.
To where we have to come out with an outside force or whatever and say, this has got to stop. I mean, that's kind of where I'm frustrated at, is I am not your house babysitter. I am not the city's babysitter for these properties, and it's beginning to feel like that's what's happening. Is I send letters, I send notices, oh, we'll get it cleaned up, we get it cleaned up, and we're right back a few weeks later. Nobody's learning their lesson.
That's what I'm saying, that we waive it and then it becomes an issue again in
Exactly.
6 months.
I think it might become an issue again anyway. So, your neighbors are concerned enough to come here on their own time. I mean, we're all being paid to be here. They're coming on their own time to talk about how concerned they are with what's going on here. And I don't know that it's addressed by this appeal, but your presence there in the neighborhood is a problem right now. And it has been for a decent amount of time. And it's tough to take your word for it, because that's all that we have, is that your word that it won't happen again. We say we waived this $1,000 fine, which came because we got to this point. You saw earlier. I mean, there was a $250 fine that went out. It takes a little bit to get up to the $1,000 fine. That means you're not working with anybody. That means you have serious issues, and that you didn't communicate until somebody puts a fine on you, and then you wake up.
And they didn't come and represent the property when those fines were being.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And we give the opportunity, and again, like you said you weren't aware of it. We are responsible, and as a owner and a contract owner or whatever, we're responsible to make sure this stuff's recorded. Okay? And Gupta was told from the very beginning on the January 4th that this property had an issue, because I emailed them that same day about it, and he said that he tried to contact you and you did not respond back to it. Nobody responded until after the $1,000 fine got placed on the property. And the property had a chance to appeal. That's when we actually got somebody to communicate.
I've got his telephone number put under his name.
I am just going off of what he told me, and you didn't communicate with me until after the citation was written for the dog.
Well,
So
for instance,
this is where we're at.
The guy who does the dog pound, I didn't answer his
We don't have a
call
dog
because-
pound, we have a dog, animal control.
Okay, animal control.
But we called,
His was under a name that I didn't.
We-
Because I called you twice today, and
Yep.
I looked and showed him, and it was not his, it was not animal control on there, it was some name.
you said the same thing about mine when I called you twice too. Because we actually, with the Spillman system, we are able to get the people's actual phone numbers. So we're calling people as well. They're just, if they don't answer the phone, we leave a message, they're not getting back to us. That is them not trying to maintain contact with us. We're doing our part. And I feel like with this one, we've done our part. We've done everything we can, but we've got to do something to stop this.
So the initial violation that we're dealing with here was January 4th, is that correct?
Yes, that's when it started, yes. And we brought it in on the 31st of January, and that's when the cleanup and the fine was placed. And we went out and I posted a note onto the fence, a little 4-foot fence, that we would be there to clean it up. They showed up while we were posting it, and she said she would have it done by the next Wednesday. They had the majority of it done at that time, so we did not have to do the cleanup. She was informed at that time of this $1,000 fine. Waited until last week to call and say they wanted to appeal it.
I didn't know about the.
I had told you that day we were going to do the citation. Brian was with,
I know that, you told me, I know that's when I came in that same day. I came in and paid the fine the next.
right, and there was a $1,000 fine. I told you at that time the $1,000 fine was on there, and you had the right to appeal. And you waited to finally get on to the very last minute to do so.
I don't think we should get to $1,000 before something is done either.
Agree.
In order to do anything else at this point, to,
At this point, my part of it is almost complete. We are at this point right now, this is fine, whether it's appealed or not appealed. That's where it
Yeah,
stands. Once
until
the decision
stuff pops up.
they could start putting this stuff right back out tomorrow.
but you've got to understand, that when these fines are put on there and nobody's doing anything about it, you get 2 or 3 of these fines, and when you become the owner, you can lose that property because those fines can be foreclosed, just like a mortgage could be foreclosed against your property.
And
So, I
actually,
mean, your house has got to be worth, I mean, it looks like a nice house. It's just a real mess around it. And you want to sell it to other people, neighbors got to be devalued in their property because of how you do this. I mean, it stands to help everybody. And we're not in the business of coming and getting your house. But if you don't take care of the fines, and you don't take care of these issues, you don't leave anybody choice.
I'm working on it, and I'm looking for a country home for the one dog that keeps getting out. That she's never been aggressive, but other people, she don't know, so I would be.
I'm sorry, but those dogs are aggressive. I'm saying firsthand, having them in my face, they are not friendly dogs. When you have them this far away from your face, they are not friendly dogs. That's a whole nother issue, so that you can't say they're not aggressive. They are aggressive.
When I'm there.
No, you're the owner, they know you.
yeah.
I would be scared to death when those dogs come jumping over.
I'm a dog lover, I have my own dogs, but when it's that close to my face, yeah, no.
If I had a gun, he wouldn't get that close to my face. I mean,
I had Brian behind me with a snare, and that's the only thing that made me feel safe.
Like I said, I'm looking for a country home for her because she needs to run.
sooner the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other question is too, is you were asked at the time to provide proof of shots and stuff for those animals. Have you done that?
I haven't provided.
You were supposed to provide all that stuff to Brian within a couple of days. So that's what I'm saying. We have multiple departments, multiple issues dealing with this one problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've talked about nuisance properties before. I know we need a clearer definition on that. But if it was my decision, I would say this is a nuisance property. And I'm sure I can get several other departments to say the same thing, that enough's enough. But where do we go from here? Because I don't want to be back here in 6 months. I don't want to be back here in 2 weeks getting another phone call about this same property. And you guys don't want to waste your time doing it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say waste of time, but I mean, take time out of our day to have to deal with it again. So where do we go with this?
Well, who sets the standards on the size of the fence, and how tall it is, and
That would go
what kind
under
of material that goes into it? I mean, that's an issue to be
planning and
brought.
zoning starts out and the permit has to be pulled through Rob.
Having a kennel license, I don't think is the end-all issue. I mean,
No.
No.
gotta be sanitary conditions.
Yeah, but that's,
A kennel license is a general license, but
We have zoning issues where you put a kennel. I mean, some parts of our community, you cannot put a kennel.
right,
It's-
and
can't put a
technically
factory.
being this is a rental, I really don't know if they should be allowed to have a kennel license in a rental.
That's why I'm asking who's getting it.
But it's a rental.
Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
Where's the kennel license coming from?
It comes from the clerk's office is where it's issued.
I'm sorry.
It gets issued by the clerk's office
Clerk treasurer's office in
Yes.
town, or here in the city building.
and in the city building, yes.
But I did get rid of 2 dogs, and I'm looking to get rid of the dog that keeps getting out of the yard. I got somebody, they're coming,
So that puts you down to 7 then.
most of them were already dead except for July.
It's still 7 dogs in a smaller house like that, it's still a lot that we got, I'm just concerned for the neighbors at this point. I'm
I
worried.
agree.
I don't think there's enough evidence of it's been resolved completely to remove the fine. That's kind of where
I think we
I
should
mean,
decide on
we want to see it putting another extension on this for 30 days before we place it. I would go with that if we can see vast more improvement.
well, here's what I was thinking. I'm not even thinking 30 days. I'm thinking a week to get the fence down, get the any outstanding fines paid. Then from there, we can judge the appeal on the property cleanup piece. I guess that's where I am. I want to make sure that if she's in good standing with the city departments, then maybe we get a 6-month reprieve on this.
What do you mean by the outstanding fines?
There's an animal control citation, I believe.
All the citations, anything that's addressed with this property
Yeah.
should be up to date and taken care of.
You'll have, in my mind, I'm willing to give 1 week to get those things resolved and revisit this part of it. Because, look, if you're going to have to, if to keep the dogs at bay or whatever it is, you're probably not going to be able to let them out front because we're going to require a shooter fence.
Right.
But I want to make sure that the back fence and all of those things, all of the things with the property, if you're going to have to rent a dumpster, if you're going to have to make sure that your privacy fence is up to a standard to, protect the neighborhood from the dogs. People love their dogs. That's no problem. But you can't let them be out and about for long periods of time, over the course of several months, harassing people. It's just not going to happen.
The people that were here, this is just one neighbor.
Yeah.
We have voiced
One's enough.
several other neighbors that weren't able to be here.
Yeah. One's enough. But in my opinion, I don't think the $1,000 fine solves that problem. I'm viewing a couple different things, and to even give you the benefit of the doubt on going forward, keeping your property in clean and orderly manner, which you're going to have to absolutely do, because if you have another one of these within a year, within a year of
It'd be a year
what,
from this
January 4th or just this date.
From this day.
Well, I'm saying without even a decision here, if you have another one, you're up to $2,500 fine. And if it happens again, you've already been through this appeal process, I don't think the board is going to be very forgiving at that point. So I'm willing to table this for a week to allow you to get into good standing with the other departments that you're maybe not with right now. And come next Wednesday, if those things are resolved, then I think we would consider, looking at some options for, we're not going to waive the fine. That's not what happens here. We give you a 6-month to a year period where you cannot have any more violations of any of these things, and then we will remove it. But it's like probation. If within that time period something happens, you're gonna get the original fine and you're gonna get probably double that on a new one.
Because we'll start it over like it's another case on top
Yeah.
of it. So you'll be actually looking at your initial one that would have been appealed, and then the second one, which would be the next higher fine as well.
So
Yeah.
I'll give you a chance. I'll make a motion. If you can agree that the fence and the animal control citation, is that all that we're really dealing with right now on these
Really,
outstanding
yeah.
issues?
The thing is, if she's gonna use the
How soon
backyard,
they can get a dumpster?
I,
How soon can they get one, and how much do they need to bring to your office to get a dumpster?
$20 permit. It's a $20 permit. Once we have it, they can get it that afternoon.
how long is the permit good for?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
There's a, if you put it on the street, there's a $20 permit. You have to come to the street department. And then there's 4 companies. We have them all that are registered with the city that can put one on the street. You have to use one of those 4 companies. But once you come in and pay it, we'll give you the permit and you can call the company and get it set immediately.
Tony, how long is the permit good for?
30 days.
30 days.
How much did it cost to get it
I don't know what judge itself, what it costs.
$500 for 2 weeks.
They're not,
they're not cheap.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
I'd rather you pay for a dumpster rather than paying $1,000 for this fine, to be quite honest with you. And so if you can pull that permit, do the thing with the fence, and make sure that your animal control citation is paid up by next Wednesday, so all of those things, then we'll hear the appeal and you might have a better outcome.
Can
So,
we,
2 weeks, Jacob,
can we?
please.
2 weeks.
Yeah, could we just say 2 weeks?
Table it for 2
And
weeks.
that
Well,
gives,
Mary, you just got lucky, because now
Yeah.
they're giving you an extra week.
because we'll give her the extra week, okay? Because they're gonna be gone. Plus to run that stuff through with planning and zoning and stuff, it
Yeah.
will take a little time for them to approve.
Okay.
The fencing or any changes. So
Lucky to have a husband that's a contractor. He-
make sure he's licensed.
Sometimes,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, as far as the fence, it's not even that you have to put up a new one. It's that the one that you have up there cannot be up there. So I'm not saying that you have to get a new fence put up in that time period, but you have to get yourself, I mean, removing the fence would get them in compliance with you, and then you work with him to make sure you're putting up the right one. But it's got to come down within that time period.
And we just gotta get the dog issue back
To be able to
controlled.
contain in the back,
Yep.
so they can't get to the front.
Yeah, and you can't have any more issues with the dogs in the next
Yeah.
2 weeks either.
And
I just feel like,
Yeah.
I'm
So,
good with that.
anybody else from the departments have anything? Chief, you look like you had something.
After watching that video, I know there's been a fine. Those dogs that are out again, they're gonna get,
Oh, yeah.
we're being vicious animal nuisance. There's no way we can have that going on in our city. You have neighbors who have kids or have other dogs. I understand dogs can protect their homes. I understand that with fence. But to jump the fence and chase people down and you have to fend off with a baseball bat or whatever it may be is uncalled for, and no neighbor should feel that way. So the next time it happens, the dogs will be confiscated at that point. And obviously fines will be
Yep.
and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah. Now, it can't happen again. There's no excuses going forward. It's just, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. But, so I will make a motion to table this appeal for 2 weeks. So that will be the meeting on, March 13th,
Okay, yeah.
same time as this one.
and at that point, we'll reevaluate.
All right, I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
As long as we've got the requirements met that we've set right now.
Yeah.
Get the fence down, and get the citation taken care of, and we basically still need to be working on the property. We'd like to see a
Well,
dumpster.
then you have to pull your dumpster permit.
Dumpster permit has to be pulled
You know where the street department's located?
down Race Street. We can get you down before you leave, so that way you.
Yep.
My problem is I don't live in this building, coming up with the money for.
Well, hon, if that 500 is gonna be cheaper than coming up with 1,000, and then we have to come there and clean it up, and that's gonna be anywhere from a minimum of a $350 to $400 cleanup without us using landfills and stuff like that. You add the landfill to it, you're gonna add another $1,000 to it for us to clean it up.
Most places you can pay on stuff, most of them you cannot pay on, you have to pay on the tax.
I'm just saying, you're looking at paying $500 to do it, or ending up with almost $2,000 bill.
Yep. So,
Tell your husband he ought to be here to the meeting too, so you don't
Yeah.
bear the brunt of all of it.
I don't want him in there. He's a hothead, and he's, besides.
Hot-headed, hot. There's ways of calling that.
all right. Any further discussion? All right, call for question on the table.
Jacob Palmso,
Yes.
Adrian Grant.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mary. See you in 2 weeks. All right, thanks, Randy. All right, no more new business. We're on to board member comments. Adrian, you have anything?
Nope, nothing this week.
Me either, so we'll move on to miscellaneous business and any matters not already considered, including ADA Section 504 compliance or concerns. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Call for question.
Adrian Grant,
Yes.
Jacob Palmso.
Yes. All right, we're adjourned 4:25 p.m. Thank you, everybody.